And I mean, another issue is that we decide that we're gonna eat where we should. Can you imagine if when the crack episode popped off in the 80s? Can you imagine if they decide if the black people that were spreading that shit around decided that their main customer base was gonna be anybody but black people? It's like, but nah, they decided to ruin their own folks.
It was, I mean, what crack is, it it could never be that.
What?
Crack is like a souped up cheap version of Coke. It was meant for black people.
But what I'm saying is, who was giving it to the black people?
I mean, you could say like what if, but given what it was, it's not possible. It's the cheap version of Coke meant for black people.
So you're saying that there was already something else that people could get their hands on, so they wouldn't have accepted it if you tried.
Yeah, crack came from Coke. Coke was always around.
Jesus, why does it seem like we're always taking the leftover shit? I was about to say, it's like soul food is based off of the leftover shit that we had to eat back when we ain't had no other choice.
Because they ain't have no other choice.
Yeah, but there's a reason why they weren't eating that shit.
You ain't have no other choice. What the fuck?
No, I'm saying there's a reason why Caucasian people weren't eating that shit.
And I'm saying you ain't have no other choice.
No, but we have a choice now. We have a choice now.
But it's supposedly a part of our culture.
And that's what I'm talking about. We don't have no culture. We're in full control of what it is that we practice because we don't have a root. We should be able to register these mistakes.
I don't think you can knock the black people of the past, bro. They were trying.
I'm not saying to knock them. They did the best they could, but we have to question we have to question the answers they submitted and make sure they stick. Medicine has been advancing these generations leading up to where we are now. And we're figuring out that, okay, one of the main things that's killing black people is our goddamn hearts. And it's like we're getting these diseases. It's coming from the shit that we eat. It's like, okay, yeah, the people in the past tried the hardest. But when do we realize, man, I don't think we can make that dish no more. That thing's knocking us off.
Who's telling us that? Who's telling the people that?
Well, I don't see anybody right now. This is like right now I'm just brainstorming. I don't see anybody saying that right now. I mean, it's like they point it out, they say it. They'll say it's like one of the number one killers of black people is dang heart disease. And it's like it's like it could have something to do with their dang diet. And
What about the diet? What in it?
I'll have to look and see.
Because the only thing I know that I'm supposedly not supposed to eat is pork. And that's because of the Muslims. I think that's because of the Nation of Islam.
That dang bacon.
And once it becomes a religious thing, it was like, I'm not that religious, so.
And that's why I try to bring up. I need to rename the 7 deadly sins so people don't think of Christianity as soon as I bring it up.
The 7 deadly.
The 7 fuck ups.
I mean, the 7 fallacies.
I mean,
I don't know, bro.
It's like the seven something, because I mean, shoot. And on top of that, what's even worse is that the people that identified the 7 deadly sins, they didn't stop right there, because it's always a teeny tiny bit butthole-ish to show up to point out to show up to a problem with no solution. It's always just a teeny tiny bit butthole-ish to show up to a problem with no solution. Like you point out the problem.
All right, well, what do you mean by show up to a problem? Like address it?
Yeah, it's like you bring up, this is a problem. Period.
That's what we're doing right now.
See? And that's why I'm talking to you about it. I'm still brainstorming. I'm not going big with this. I'm not submitting my answer yet because I don't have a concrete solution to some of this shit yet.
But what about the people that are not seeing it as a problem?
I would have to also fit that's another part of it. That's the first part of it. Making them realize that there's an issue.
I mean, if you're able to do that, then they could perhaps help in coming up with the solution.
I've been working on it. It's not all together yet. But back to what I was saying. Yeah, it's like they didn't stop right there with the 7 deadly sins. It's like, no, past that, they came up with 7 virtues to practice instead.
Mm-mm.
They had the 7 deadly sins that you shouldn't touch. Please don't for your own sake.
Is that also in the Bible, the 7 virtues?
Bro, I'm speaking from what's out there. I'm not pulling it from the Bible.
I mean, the 7 deadly sins is in the Bible, right?
Lust, gluttony, greed, laziness, wrath, envy, and pride. Although all of these things are sinful, nowhere in the Bible are they called deadly sins, and nowhere in the scriptures are they compiled into one list.
But they are sinful.
Yeah.
But none of those are identified as sins.
And they're not expressly identified as deadly sins in the Bible, and they are never compiled into a list for any reason.
Okay. All right. When you say deadly, are they in the Bible as just regular sins, or what are you saying?
I'm sure it's talked about, like vainglory, things of that nature. I'm sure like they're brought up like his downfall was because of this or that or the third.